this community since 1918. Service is our motto. The poor, the rich, the middle class and all are given the best of care and attention at all times. You have the privilege to select what you want. In your time of need, contact the capable, the competent, and the dependable staff of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home who is genuinely concerned with your care. At Jwwilliams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor, president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcers for the Jwwilliams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Ms. Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. The family of retired educator Mrs. Mildred Lawrence Keaton of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Deacon Raymond Anderson of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Deacon Arthur Lee Holloway of Americus, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Retired educator Mrs. Mildred Lawrence Keaton, age 73, of 616 East Union Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Sunday, October 20th, at a residence in Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for retired educator Mrs. Mildred Lawrence Keaton, age 73, was held Sunday, October 27th, in the sanctuary of her beloved Bethel Baptist Church in Vienna, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Dr. Bobby G. West, officiated. The burial followed at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted husband, Mr. Winston Keaton of Vienna, Georgia, her beloved and devoted daughter, Miss Marshall Lindsay Keaton of Atlanta, Georgia, her adored grandson, Master Dalen S. Lewis, two sisters-in-law, Mrs. Carolyn Lawrence and Miss Geneva Lawrence, her loving and devoted nieces and nephews, a host of cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive retired educator Mrs. Mildred Lawrence Keaton, age 73, of 616 East Union Street, Vienna, Georgia. Deacon Raymond Anderson, age 78, of 512 North 3rd Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Thursday, October 20th, at his residence in Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Raymond Anderson, age 78, was held Saturday, November 2nd, in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. His pastor, the Reverend Charles Carr Sr., pastor of the Free Providence Baptist Church of Vienna, Georgia, officiated. The burial followed at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Deacon Zachary Fields and his wife, Mrs. Lavetta Fields, Miss Shayla Anderson, all of Vienna, Georgia, Mr. Raymond Towns of Byronville, Georgia, 9 beloved grandchildren, 14 great-grandchildren, his loving sisters, Miss Grace Anderson of Atlanta, Georgia, and Miss Tanya Dean of Macon, Georgia, his beloved brothers, Mr. Harry Anderson and his wife, Miss Mary Anderson of Vienna, Georgia, Mr. David Anderson and his wife, Miss Sylvia Anderson of Wellington, North Carolina, Mr. Steve Anderson of Atlanta, Georgia, and Mr. George Holmes of Chicago, Illinois. His beloved fiancée, Miss Dorsey Felder of Vienna, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Deacon Raymond Anderson, age 78, of 512 North 3rd Street, Vienna, Georgia. Deacon Arthur Lee Holloway, age 68, of 140 Buttercup Lane, Americus, Georgia, died Friday, October 25th, at his residence in Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Arthur Lee Holloway, age 68, was held Saturday, November 2nd, in the sanctuary of the Americas Holiness Deliverance Temple in Americus, Georgia. The pastor, Elder Michael Fowler, officiated. The eulogy was delivered by his beloved nephew, the Reverend Horace Holloway III. The burial followed at the Zion Hill Baptist Church Cemetery in Leslie, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Barbara Willis Holloway of Americus, Georgia, his beloved and devoted son, Mr. Grant B. Holloway of Albany, Georgia, and Mr. Jamie Holloway of Leesburg, Georgia. 3 beloved grandchildren, Jalen, Blake, and Zoe, his loving sister, Miss Diane Roberts, and her husband, Mr. Henry Roberts of Leslie, Georgia. His devoted brothers, Deacon Andrew Holloway of Decatur, Georgia, Deacon Ray Holloway and his wife, Mrs. Elizabeth Holloway of DeSoto, Georgia, and Deacon Michael Holloway and his wife, Mrs. Mary Holloway of Americus, Georgia. His in-law, Miss Deborah Pride, Miss Lisa Holloway, and Mr. Ward Willis Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Eartha Willis, a host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Deacon Arthur Lee Holloway, age 68, of 140 Buttercup Lane, Americus, Georgia. Again, the family of retired educator Mrs. Mildred Lawrence Keaton of Vienna, Georgia, the family of Deacon Raymond Anderson of Vienna, Georgia, the family of Deacon Arthur Lee Holloway of Americus, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you is their prayer. The Jwwilliams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. Mr. Julius Clay Hill Sr., age 53, of 1135 Sunday Lane, Jonesburg, Georgia, died Friday, October 25th at Emory Healthcare in Atlanta, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted mother, Mrs. Mary G. Hill of Cordele, Georgia, his beloved companion, Miss Ruth Jenkins of Jonesburg, Georgia, his beloved children, Mr. Julius Hill Jr., Ms. Zacchaeus Harvey, Mr. Dante Hamilton, and Mr. Javaris Paul, all of Cordele, Georgia, Ms. Jalela Hoover of Atlanta, Georgia, 15 beloved grandchildren, his loving and devoted sibling, Miss Angela Hill, and Mr. Gregory Hill, both of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Charles Hill, and Miss Mildred Waters Cameron of Atlanta, Georgia, a host of beloved nieces, nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive Mr. Julius Clay Hill, age 53, of 1135 Sunday Lane, Jonesburg, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Julius Clay Hill, age 53, will be held today, Sunday, November 3rd, at 1 p.m. in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Robert A. Young, Esquire, age 72, of 3576 Charles Avenue, Miami, Florida, formerly of Byronville, Georgia, died Wednesday, October 24th, at his residence in Miami, Florida. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Veronica Young of Miami, Florida, his loving and devoted child, Miss Christine Young of Miami, Florida, his beloved great-grandchildren, Anasia and Marcus Young of Miami, Florida, his beloved sibling, Mr. Robert C. Young, Mr. David J. Young, Mr. Ricky A. Young, and Mr. Stevie L. Young, all of Miami Gardens, Florida, Mr. Danny E. Young of Opelika, Florida, Mr. David Barron and his wife, Mrs. Artibel Barron, Mr. John Thomas Barron, Mr. Willie Fred Barron, Mr. Joe Barron, Mr. Ben Barron, Miss Janie Winters, and Miss Judy Barron, all of Byronville, Georgia. His beloved aunt, Miss Susie Smith of Jacksonville, Florida. A host of devoted nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends, to include Mr. Cornelius Shivers, Mr. Leon Leonard of Coconut Grove, Florida, survived Mr. Robert A. Young, Esquire, age 72, of 3576 Charles Avenue, Miami, Florida, formerly of Byronville, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Robert A. Young, Esquire, age 72, will be held today, Sunday, November 3rd, at 4:30 p.m. in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church Cemetery in Byronville, Georgia. State Elder Carrie Bell Moran Grimes, age 91, of the House of God, which is the Church of the Living God, the Pillar, Ground, and Truth without controversy, 114 Sullivan Drive, Americus, Georgia, died Wednesday, October 30th, at a residence in Americus, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted sisters, Deaconess Jessie Moran Reed, and Elder Mary Moran King, and her husband, Deacon Clifford L. King of Americus, Georgia, Miss Tobias R. Moran of New York, New York, her beloved brother, Mr. Antonius L. Moran, and his wife, Mrs. Kathy R. Moran of Americus, Georgia, a host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. State Elder Carrie Bell Moran Grimes, age 91, of the House of God, which is the Church of the Living God, Pillar, Ground, and Truth without controversy. The public visitation for State Elder Carrie Bell Moran Grimes, age 91, will be held today, Sunday, November 3rd, from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for State Elder Carrie Bell Moran Grimes, age 91, will be held Monday, November 4th at 11 a.m. at the Willie A. Watkins Historical West End Chapel in Atlanta, Georgia. Bishop Dr. Martha J. Thomas will officiate. The eulogy will be delivered by Elder Mattie Lewis. The burial will follow at the Greenwood Cemetery in Atlanta, Georgia. Mrs. Christine Graham Jackson, age 71, of 208 East 18th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, October 30th, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Darrell Graham and his wife, Mrs. Katrina Graham, Mrs. Tammy Smith and her husband, Mr. Cleveland Smith Sr., Mr. Jeffrey Graham and his wife, Mrs. Veronica Graham, and Miss Shakee Reese and her husband, Mr. Corey Reese, and Mr. Tony Graham, all of Cordele, Georgia. 10 beloved grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, her beloved brothers, Mr. Tommy L. Jones of Jupiter, Florida, Mr. Willie Joe Jones of Florida, a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Christine Graham Jackson, age 71, of 208 East 18th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Christine Graham Jackson, age 71, will be held Tuesday, November 5th at 12 noon in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Israel Zale Walker, age 74, of 1701 Old Coney Circle, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, November 2nd, at the Cordele Health and Rehabilitation Center in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Rosa Felton Walker, his loving and devoted children, Miss Melissa Walker, Mrs. Sharon Weaver and her husband, Mr. Jermaine Weaver, Mr. Marcus Walker and his wife, Mrs. Kimberly Walker, and Mr. Ponty Walker and his wife, Miss Kendra Walker, all of Cordele, Georgia. A host of beloved grandchildren and great-grandchildren. His loving and devoted sisters, Miss Louise Walker of Cordele, Georgia, and Miss Van Essie Walker of Valdosta, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Israel Zale Walker, age 74, of 1701 Old Coney Circle, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Israel Zale Walker, age 74, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. The Jwwilliams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. An out-of-town funeral notice. Mr. Michael Carter of Stone Mountain, Georgia, formerly of Cordele, Georgia, died Thursday, October 17. A memorial service will be held Saturday, November 9th at 1 p.m. at the Chris County Recreation Department. Locally, he survived by his father, the Reverend Joe Lee Butts Sr., his stepfather, Deacon Joe Wedges, his children, Kaylin, Adrian, Michael, and Travell Carter, and Brandon Rogers, his beloved sisters and brothers. His aunts and uncles include Miss Enora Montfred, Miss Catherine Massey, Miss Doretha Collins and her husband, Mr. Ralph Collins, the Reverend Vilene Ray and her husband, Mr. Robert Ray, Mrs. Brenda Faye Finn and her husband, Mr. Bobby Finn, Mr. Willie Carter Sr., Mr. Joseph Carter, and Mr. Roosevelt Carter and his wife, Mrs. Sharon Carter, and a host of other relatives and many friends survive. Mr. Michael Carter of Stone Mountain, Georgia, formerly of Cordele, Georgia. Friends, that conclude our funeral notices for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-funeral arrangements planning available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home with package single pay, a 3-year pay, a 10-year pay, and also whole life insurance is available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. So please stop by and talk with us concerning your pre-funeral arrangements needs available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home.
And now for announcements. The Friendship Baptist Church 14th Pastor Anniversary of Reverend Joseph Atkins will be held on Sunday, November 10th at 1:30 p.m. Reverend Joyce Cobb, pastor of Free Providence Baptist Church and Spring Hill Baptist Church, will be the guest speaker. Dinner will be served. Sister Cassandra Askew, church secretary. Reverend Joseph Atkins is the pastor. The Big Popular Spring Baptist Church of Unadilla annual Veterans Program will be observed on Sunday, November 10th at 11 o'clock a.m. Deacon Andrew McKenzie of the Mount Pleasant Baptist Church, Leesburg, will be the guest speaker. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. The Big Popular Spring annual Thanksgiving program will be on Sunday, November 17th at 11 o'clock a.m. Brother Lee Jenkins will be the speaker. Sister LaChaina Whitehead, church secretary. Deacon Wilbur Whitehead Jr., chairman of deacons. Reverend Lucius Albritton Jr. is the pastor. The Shady Grove CME Church Annual Family Friends Day will be Sunday, November 17th at 11 o'clock a.m. The pastor, Reverend John Thomas, will deliver the message. Brother Peyton Beal Jr., chairman of stewards. Reverend John Thomas is the pastor. The Greater New Lebanon Baptist Church of Plains annual Men and Women's Day program will be Sunday, November 10th at 11 a.m. Minister Bernita Sampson and Deacon Eric Bryant Sr. will be the speakers. Deacon Calvin Mansfield, chairman of deacons. Reverend Glenn Bryant Sr. is the pastor. The McAfee Grove Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them family nights Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m., small class study Thursdays at 7 p.m., Sunday morning worship at 9 a.m., and you may join them by calling 425-436-6341. Minister Tawanda Daniels, Secretary. Dr. Robert L. Morgan Sr. is the pastor. The Emmanuel Baptist Church, Cordial, will celebrate the 20th anniversary of Pastor Reverend Gregory and First Lady Denise Williams on Wednesday, November 6th at 7 o'clock p.m. The Butylland Baptist Church and Pastor Dr. Dwayne Daniels will be the special guest. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. The anniversary will climax on Sunday, November 10th at 11:15 a.m. Reverend Gregory Williams is the pastor. The New Hope Baptist Church and the Zion Grove Baptist Church will sponsor a Give Back to the Community Day on Saturday, November 9th from 10 a.m. until 3 o'clock p.m. at the Warwick Community Center. There will be free food, free clothes, and prizes. Everyone is invited. Mother Lovey Bagley, Church Mother. Deacon Dennis Harris, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Tiller Sims is the pastor. The New Oak Grove Baptist Church Women's Day will be observed on Sunday, November 10th at 10 o'clock a.m. Reverend Denise Patrick Noel will be the guest speaker. Sister Valerie Royal and Sister Jimmy N. Smith, chairpersons. Deacon Alonzo Jones, chairman of deacons. Reverend W.W. Wilson is the pastor. Hilltop Church of Christ will have a clothing and household items giveaway on Saturday, November 9th from 10 a.m. until 2 o'clock p.m. All items are free to the public. Brother James Leon Hughes is the minister. Everyone has a cordial invitation to worship at the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church. Worship service with Sunday school begins at 9 o'clock a.m. Worship service at 9:30 a.m. Mother Mary Henderson, Church Mother. Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Chairman of Deacons. Dr. K.M. Williams is the pastor. Everyone is invited to worship at the Mount Zion First African Baptist Church Sunday morning at 10 a.m., prayer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 o'clock noon, Bible study each Wednesday at 5 p.m. Deacon Joe Wedges, Chairman of Deacons. Dr. Dan James III is the pastor. The Gethsemane Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them this morning with worship service beginning at 10:30 a.m. Deacon Johnny Wilson, Chairman of Deacons. Mother Mary S. Butler, Church Mother. Brother Cecil Straughter is the pastor. The Greater Gum Creek Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them. Worship service this morning begins at 10:30 a.m. Mother Norma Solomon, Church Mother. Deacon Zachary Fields, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Joseph Hockerbrook is the pastor. Everyone has a cordial invitation to worship at the St. Paul Presbyterian Church each first and third Sunday with services beginning at 11 o'clock a.m. If you have any questions, please contact the pastor, Pastor Ovita Hagman, at 229-406-1333, or Clerk of Sessions, Elder Ola Outlaw, at 229-322-9775. Pastor Ovita Hagman is the pastor. Everyone has a cordial invitation to worship at the beautiful Zion Baptist Church. Worship service begins at 11 o'clock a.m. this morning. Mother Donna Mae Child's church mother, Reverend Lorinda Ray, is the pastor. You're cordially invited to worship at the Mount Calvary Baptist Church today. Sunday school at 9:45 a.m., worship service at 10:45 a.m. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. Mother Evelyn Lewis, church mother, Deacon Leon Spears, chairman of deacons, Reverend Isaac H. Owens is the pastor. We'd like to remind you also of one other announcement coming up on Tuesday, November 5th, which is Election Day, as we've been talking about throughout this season of election. Those of you who have not taken the opportunity to vote during the early voting, that Tuesday will be your final chance to vote. Please remember that the polls will be opening at 7 a.m. and they will close at 7 o'clock p.m. 7 a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, November the 5th. Please get out and exercise your right to vote. Anyone interested in planning to be out campaigning on Tuesday at the election sites and you would like to have a Harrison Walls t-shirt to wear at that time, you may drop by the Democratic campaign headquarters on Monday, November 4th, from between 4 and 6 p.m. Between 4 and 6 p.m., we will be having t-shirts there to give away until they're all gone. So we encourage those of you who are planning to be out on the campaign site on Tuesday, if you would like to have a shirt, that you may come by. Remember, the Democratic headquarters is located on 9th Avenue, right across from Sam Shortline Train Depot. Tuesday, November the 5th, is your final chance to take opportunity to vote. Please get out and vote if you have not done so already. If you are needing a ride to the poll, if you will reach out to us at the Democratic campaign headquarters, we will be glad to get you a ride to the poll on Tuesday, November the 5th. That concludes our announcements for this morning.
And now for dedication. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following in loving memory of Mrs. Patricia Talbot Warren, who departed this life November 1st, 2011. Dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, her beloved mother, Mrs. Juanita Mathis Talbot, her brothers, and the entire Talbot and Warren family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Willie James Thomas, also known as Hicks, who would have celebrated his birthday November 1st. Dedication requested by his son, Sergeant Hamilton Thomas, Quincy Smith, and the entire Bill family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of our beloved Mother Carrie Lee Porter, who departed this life November 2nd, 2015. Dedication requested by her beloved family and her church family, the members, the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, her pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, and Deacon Tommy Ford, and the entire membership pause and remember the life and service of Mother Carrie Lee Porter, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. George Westbrook Jr., who departed this life November 2nd, 1992. Dedication requested by his wife, Mrs. Martha A. Westbrook, his children, grandchildren, and the entire Westbrook family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Elizabeth Fletcher Brown, who would have celebrated her birthday November 3rd. Dedication requested by the entire family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Lorenzo Davis, who departed this life November 5th, 2012, and would have celebrated his birthday November 19th. Dedication requested by Mrs. Mary Frances Davis. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mrs. Othello Davis, who departed this life November 5th, 2020, and dedication requested by her children and Mrs. Mary Frances Davis, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mother Alberta Green, who departed this life November 6, 1990, dedication requested by the Green family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Willie Jr. Davis, who would have celebrated his birthday November 11th. Dedication requested by his children, grandchildren, and Mrs. Mary Frances Davis, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. John Patrick Jr., who departed this life November 4th, 2017. Dedication requested by the Patrick family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Rufus Hoskin, who would have celebrated his birthday November 7th. Dedication requested by his family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Minnie Felton, who would have celebrated her birthday November 7th. Dedication requested by the Jones, Felton, and Coley family, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of our sister, Mrs. Maddie Mae Johnson, who would have celebrated her birthday on November the 1st. Dedication requested by all of her children, grandchildren, her sisters, and brothers, and the entire family. We pause and remember Mrs. Maddie Mae Johnson, better known as Sister Girl, gone but not forgotten. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following. Happy birthday to Mrs. Frances Chambliss, who celebrated her birthday on October 27th. Dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, the entire Parker and Chambliss family. Happy birthday to Miss Frances Parker Chambliss. Happy birthday and many, many more. Happy birthday to Mr. Bryce Harvey, who celebrated his birthday Monday, October 28th. Dedication requested by his beloved mother, Mrs. Geraldine Harvey, his sister, and the entire family. Happy birthday to Mr. Bryce Harvey. Many, many more. Special birthday wishes goes out. Happy 96th birthday to Mother Lenora McNeil, who is celebrating her birthday on today. Celebrating her birthday today, Sunday, November 3rd. Dedication requested by all of her family, her friends, and her church family. Happy 96th birthday to our beloved Mother Lenora McNeil. Happy birthday, Mother, and many, many more. Happy birthday to Miss Vanita Winfield, who celebrated her birthday Wednesday, November 6th. And happy birthday to Mr. Lee Winfield, who will celebrate his birthday Thursday, November 7th. And they also celebrate their anniversary on December 20th. Dedication requested by the family. Happy birthday to Miss Vanita Winfield on Wednesday, November 6th. And also Mr. Lee Winfield on Thursday, November 7th, and the anniversary will be December 20th. We pray that God will continue to bless your union and keep it strong. Very special birthday wishes goes out to Mother Norma Solomon, who will celebrate her birthday Wednesday, November 6th. Dedication requested by her family and her church family, where she serves as Mother of the Church, Greater Gum Creek Baptist Church, a pastor, and the entire membership says happy birthday to Mother Norma Solomon. God bless you and many, many more. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: Deacon James Smith and family, Deacon George Jordan and family, Deacon Jerome Jordan and family, past Commissioner retired Mr. A.J. and Mother Vera Rivers and family, Deacon and Mrs. Willie James Patrick and family, Miss Nettie Shivers and family, Miss Melba Carter and family, Mother Willie Mae Leary and family of Hatley, Georgia, Mother Martha Westbrook and family, Miss Willie Mae Crapp and family, City Commissioner Vesta Bill Shepherd and the entire Bill family, Chris County Coroner, Mr. Ricky Dawson and family, Miss Eleanor Ray and family, Minister Mrs. Robbie Williams and family, Mrs. Alma Johnson and family, Miss Willie Mae Cobb and family, Mrs. Ernestine Gaines and family, Miss Christine Gaines and family, Deacon Major Walker and family, Stuart Lonnie Barrett and family, Miss Linda Butcher and family, Mr. Edward Butler and family, Mrs. Carolyn Bolden and family, and the entire Perry family, the Reverend Charles Perry and family, Miss Anna Rose and family, Miss Virginia Williams and family, Mr. and Mrs. A.B. Levant and family, Mr. Wayne Foster and family, Mr. Nicholas Johnson and family, Mr. and Mrs. Dwight Johnson and family, Mr. Cedric Johnson and family, Mr. Reed Porter and family, Mr. and Mrs. Harry Fox and family, Elder J.C. and Miss Annette Clark and family, Mr. Robert and Miss Fannie Mae Polk and family, Minister Robert and Mrs. Joanne Williams and family, Mr. James Reedy and family, Mr. Norris and Miss Gail Bembry and family, Mr. Dolores Lamons and family, Miss Nancy Bryant and family, Mr. Joseph Bryant III and family, the Reverend Jolie Butts and family, Mrs. Rosa Colbert and family, Mrs. Janie Mae Miller and family, Elder Alice Mae McKenzie and family, Mr. Frankie Lee Robinson and family, Miss Dockwita Hunt and family, Mr. Artis Dawson and family, Miss John Reese and family, Miss Barbara Adams and family, Miss Virginia Everett and family, Mrs. Maddie Pope and family, Mr. Jermaine Harvey and family, Mrs. Charlie Mae Colson and family, Mr. Johnny and Mrs. Barbara Dennis and family, Miss Lucille McGill and family, Miss Gwen Westbrook and family, Chairman Deacon Sammy and Sister Shanice McGill and family, Deacon George and Miss Ann Whitehead and family, Deacon Eugene and Miss Deborah Williams and family, Mr. Dravian and Mrs. Kathy McGill and family, Mrs. Gail Brandt and family, Mrs. Mary Thomas and family, Mrs. Brenda Webb and family, Mrs. Betty Webb and family, Mrs. Tawana Webb and family, Mr. Travis Webb and family, Mrs. Doris Wise and family, the Reverend and Mrs. Layfield Buckholz and family, Mrs. Juanita Tarbert and family, Miss Lucy Baker and family, Mr. and Mrs. Jamie Chambliss and family, the family of the late Deacon John L. Cobb of Vienna, Georgia, Mother Adeline Lofton, church mother of the Little Rock Baptist Church of Araby, Georgia, Miss Mattie Mays and family, Deacon Lonnie Clayton and family, the entire Clayton family of Dooley County, Miss Willie Bell Coleman and family, Mrs. Brenda Redding and family, Mr. Freddie Bembry and family, Miss Viola Adams and family, the family of the late Bishop Lim Wright, Mrs. Lynette Ross family, the family of the late Mother Ida Rose Oliver, Mrs. Jean